unfortunately at TopVelocity.net, here with also Stephen Godani. And this is at TopVelocity or at Stephen Godani, hashtag Pitching Tips Show. We're here to answer your questions on Twitter. If you came to us with that, at TopVelocity, hashtag Pitching Tips. So, first question for the day, let's just jump right into it.
It's Blaine was asking, if I'm not feeling good for the day, how do I get to top velocity?
That's a good question. Basically, if you're gassed or you're tired or sick and you don't really feel up to par, how do you optimize your ability to be at your top speed? That's tough. You know, I always said as a pitcher, I wanted to be the guy who excelled at his optimal level, not when he felt great, because anyone can do that, when I felt like crap. So what would you have to do? Obviously, there's a big level of intent. So I'm not going to go into that because there's a big mental approach to that. But technically, what you need to do is understand what your body has to do to be at its top speed. Know what things that it typically gets lazy on. You know, there's certain guys that they get lazy on loading the leg. You know, when they're tired, they just want to fall into their front leg. Well, if that's the case, and you probably know you're doing that because you're really tired that day, then you need to overemphasize loading that leg and really be more, the intent to be more focused on forcing it into those ranges. Now, what you're going to probably find out is that your leg's going to, slow down or gas out quicker when you're forcing it to do that. And it really comes down to, you probably need to focus better on your routines and getting your recovery improved so you don't go into games so gassed, or if you're in practice, maybe you don't need to throw that day because your central nervous system is gassed. But if you just have to throw that day and you're trying to get the best out of your body, you just need to know through an analysis like we do at Top Velocity, what do you do when you throw really well, when you throw at your top speed, and what do you typically do when you're not throwing your top speed, when you're lazy or when you're tired, and make sure your body's pushing into those movement patterns that you typically get lazy and you move away from. So that would be my advice to it, but it happens to everyone. And the guys that don't understand their deliveries well and understand what they have to do really well, those are the guys when they don't feel good, they perform horrible, and they get in a rut, and then they fall apart. So at least that's your little lifeline. If you know what you have to do, you typically don't do well when you're tired, then you at least can try to work real hard in a pre-game dry drill to put yourself and force yourself into those positions that your body's going to be really lazy to perform well. Anything on that?
I had a coach in college who said you're only going to have your best stuff like 3 or 4 times out of the year. So kind of like the same thing. Like if it's not there, like he's saying, like he gets texts from Ardsma all the time, like, hey, like I was 90s today, 91, I don't know what was going on. And it's like, it's really cool that he can look back and see all the stuff from Ardsma and go back and go, oh, okay, you were doing this wrong and that. But I think a big thing for guys too, if you don't have that at your disposal, a big thing, post-activation potential, or
post-activation potential.
Yeah, post-activation potential. Potentiation, yeah, it's PAPS with Nolan Ryan is a big one, and you were tapping into it too, like getting the legs firing before you go pitching, and I think that's huge for lower.
Yeah. What that does is it just helps activate all your motor units going into a game. Sometimes it's good to do a little PAP routine. Now we've got the PAP routines and the preseason guide. If you want to get an idea of what a PAP routine is or what it can do for your velocity, check out my video on YouTube on how Olympic lifting can increase your pitching velocity. It's a basic little PAP routine that activates your motor units, and it gives you a little bump in velocity for the day, because that's a lot of times when you're tired, you're having a hard time activating all those motor units. So that is a great way to do it. The PAP routines are tough because you got to time them as close to the game as you can, but that makes a great point. All right, so that's it for the show. If you have a question that you want to put out to us, go to Twitter, at Top Velocity, at Stephen Godani, hashtag Pitching Tips, and we want to answer your question. And we're going to do that on the next episode, so we're looking forward to it.
Work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play